Hello, Outreach. This is Pastor Fred Labb, Senior Minister here at Outreach Christian Church. I want to take a second and just share some exciting news with you guys about what's happening here at Outreach. You know, it's been since March 15th since we've all gathered together here to worship our God in person with one another. And a lot has happened in that time in our world. And I guarantee you a lot has happened, not just in my life, but in your lives as well. And we've noticed things. We've noticed change. We've noticed that we want things to be normal. And we recognize that normal isn't what it once was. So when we come back to church, we've put a plan together as elders to come back to church this Sunday, June 14th here at Outreach. And yes, we've been separated by COVID, and we've greatly missed worshiping with one another, but we're working at coming back together now. And so we've put a plan together after much prayer, after much discussion and much planning, trying to figure out the best way for us to open our church to have the family of God here at Outreach back together. And the leadership has worked really hard on that. So we thank you for your prayers, as many of you have reached out to us and said, hey, we recognize how difficult this must be for you guys. And we just want you to know that we're praying for you and that we love you. To that, we are very humbled, and we say thank you for that, because if I'm being honest with you, this has not been an easy process. This has been a difficult process, and one that we hope that we've worked through the best that we can. So our plan will be to open church this Sunday at 10:30, June 14th. But we're going to need to adjust some things. We won't look, and it probably won't feel like it did back on March 15th and before that when you were here. It's going to take some time for us to understand and figure things out. So for the time being, we're going to do the very best that we can to make all of you as safe as we possibly can. I want you to know that as elders, we have reached out to all of our, to many of our healthcare professionals that are committed and connected here at Outreach, and we've asked their opinions on things, and we've asked them to make suggestions and recommendations, and we've shared with them some plans that we have and allowed them to comment and help us to better develop this plan. So I want you to know that some of us may not feel comfortable coming back to worship yet, and I can't say this with a more heartfelt manner. We want you to know, we want you to understand that that's okay. We want you to feel comfortable. And you know what? If you're not ready to come back, if this is a decision that your family is not ready to make yet, we 100% support your decision. All right, and we want you to know that. We want you to know that you're very important to us. One of the things that we've discovered through all this is that we now have two congregations here at Outreach. We have our in-seat congregation, and we have our online congregation. And you know what? We love and care deeply for all of you. And some of you that have joined in our online that maybe aren't familiar with Outreach, and you're trying to become more familiar with us. We want to find a way to do ministry in your life as well. So we are grateful that you've connected, and we're thankful for the people that we've had, people that have supported this online ministry financially, and we say thank you to them. They see the value in it, and they have donated very generously to new equipment that we're using right now, so that the gospel could be shared across the country. And so we're thankful for that, and we're glad that we have an online community now, and we want to honor them, but we want them to feel and understand, feel a part of Outreach and understand who we are and why we do things the way we do. But I want us to also understand this. When you choose to come back, whether it's this week or whether it's down the road, we want to honor that decision. We want you to know that worshiping at home does not mean that you have a lack of faith. It does not mean that you're living in fear. That's not our thoughts. We want to support your decision, and we want to support the opinions of everybody that have them, and we recognize that we don't all think alike. So we want you to know that if you make the choice right now to worship at home, that's okay. And you know what? We're grateful and thankful that you're still worshiping with us. We don't believe for one second that you have a lack of faith. All right, we don't believe that you're living in fear. We're just grateful to you for trusting and talking to God and asking God to help you make this decision. And we support you in that. And by doing that, you're still able to connect through our Facebook page, and we're broadcasting also through YouTube now as well. So we just want you to prayerfully choose when you will come back. That's very important. When you feel ready to come back and worship with us in person, we will welcome you back, and we will be excited. And if not, we will see you through the camera, and we're just as excited, and we're thankful that you are worshiping with us. You will see, we'll have a list of kind of the plan that we're putting together. I hate to use the word guidelines, but maybe the best ideas, the best practices that we could come up with. And I want to go through some of those with you right now. You're going to notice that there's going to be a lot of changes early on here at Outreaches. It's not going to look the way it once did, but we're doing that to keep people safe. That's our whole desire, is to keep people safe and still allow us to worship together. We ask that people would be respectful of the guidelines that we're putting in place. And we're hearing different stories about different churches where some churches they haven't put up guidelines and others have, and maybe people aren't following them. Again, we ask that you would be respectful. I think about, and I'm sure that by now you've heard this passage to death, and it's talking about how important it is that we look after one another. It's Paul's writing in Romans chapter 12, verse 18. He says, "If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone." All right, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Well, right now, it is possible for us to hold to these guidelines. It is possible for us to live at peace with everyone. It just means respecting one another. And you know what? We believe at Outreach that we have a very loving congregation, and part of being able to love one another is having the desire to also respect one another. Now, listen. We understand that it's going to be different. We understand that some of our first desires are going to be to want to be in close proximity, and you know we recognize that, and we just ask that we would be conscientious of other people's space right now, and just show that grace and that mercy and that love. But there's going to be a few changes, and one of the things I want to share with you is this: if you're experiencing any sickness symptoms, all right, if you over the last couple of weeks, if you're feeling fever, if you're feeling chills, if you're struggling with a cough, if you're shortness of breath, if you have difficulty breathing, if you are suffering from fatigue or from headaches, if you have a sore throat, if you're nauseous, or if you're vomiting. I hate using that word. I hate it. Almost as much as I hate vomiting. It's been 25 years since I've done that, by the way. That's the truth. But if you're experiencing any of these things, we ask that you would just refrain from being here at this time. We ask that if you've been around anybody that's tested positive for COVID-19, we just ask that at this point that you will enjoy and you will experience our live stream worship, and that you will make full use of that until you are better. To be respectful of the thoughts and the feelings of others. This is a real hard one for us, right? We're going to ask that right now that there's no handshaking. There's no hugging. There's no personal contact. I know that it just really stinks to have to say these things. No personal contact with one another, unless it's your own family. At least for the time being, we ask that you would refrain from these things. Everybody wants to know about masks. All right, that's a tough one. That is a very difficult thought. All right, do you wear a mask? Don't you wear a mask? We're not going to require people. There's not going to be any mask police. All right, we're not going to force you to wear a mask. But we want to encourage you. We want to encourage you. And the mask may not be for yourself. It's probably it's also to help others. And again, it goes back to as far as it depends on you. I struggle personally with putting a mask on, especially when it first started. I didn't want to wear a mask. If I'm being honest with you, it made me feel like I was less than a man. And I started thinking about that, and I realized, that's just my pride. That's my pride, and I needed to get over it. So now when I go into a store, I put my mask on. And you know what? I don't think twice about it anymore. And I've realized, what's really cool about a mask? It doesn't hide your smile, because the smile comes from your eyes. You can still smile at people with your eyes, and you can still greet one another. And we can still see those things. So we ask that we're not forcing anybody, but we're leaving that optional right now. So they're not required, but they are encouraged. So please also use the hand sanitizing stations that we'll have set up for you. Feel free to bring your own. All right, we don't have any issues with that. Feel free to bring your own, but feel free to please use the hand sanitizing stations that we have set up that are going to be placed around the church to minimize the touch points in the building. But by doing that, you'll notice that the doors will be propped open. You won't have to grab a door and open a door, except for bathrooms. We won't have doors closed, so you'll be able to come in and out without having to handle the doors. We ask that you enter and exit the church using the right side door. So when you come into the church, use the doors to the south, and when you exit the church, use the doors to the north. But we're talking about the doors at the main entrance, not over in the children's wing. The doors at the main entrance, and you won't have to open them. They'll be opened up for you. You'll also notice that we have prepackaged communion setting up on a table, so you can take your own, or you feel free to grab yours for your family, and only take what's needed right now, because it's hard to get those. They're on back order because every other church is using them. So we're trying to we certainly want to worship through communion, but we're trying to get our hands on some more of that stuff. But you won't have to touch it. In the same way, we'll have boxes or places designated in the church for your offering. So we won't be passing any plates. All right, there won't. You don't have to worry about that. There'll be designated spots for offering. Another thing is the drinking fountains in the building. At this point they will not be open. They will not be able to be used. So if you need to bring some water, please do that. We encourage you to bring water. And just like the drinking fountains, unfortunately right now there won't be any coffee being served. And I know that's a big part of the ministry here at Outreach. People love coming in and getting a cup of coffee. Right now we're not going to be able to do that. But we encourage you, bring your own coffee. Many of you have a cup. We encourage you to bring it with you. On the same note, the playground equipment out in the back is going to be off limits for the time being. We don't have a way to properly disinfect and clean all of that after it's been used. So we're going to ask that we refrain from using the playground equipment. And you know what? I hate to say this, but there's not going to be any paper bulletins right now either. But don't worry, we'll have all the songs on the overhead, so you'll be able to see that. You'll know what's coming up. But right now we won't be passing out any paper bulletins. And this is kind of a difficult time for the time being, and we don't have a determined time on this. There won't be any children's programming. All right, there won't be any children's programming over in the other building. Right now we'll have one service here at Outreach, and that'll start at 10:30. And so there won't be any children's programming for the time being. Matter of fact, the whole children's building will be blocked off. There won't even be any traffic. We won't even be going over there for the time being. And we don't know for how long that's going to happen. But right now, that's the decisions that we have made. This is a hard one for me. We've roped off chairs in the auditorium. All right, so you're going to get here and you're going to realize it doesn't look like it did. It's different. There's string that's going off chairs. Every other row is roped off. We're trying to give people enough distance where they feel comfortable. Again, that's so important. We want to respect and we want to honor other people's decisions. There might be people that are saying, I want to come to church, but I'm so concerned about people coming into my proximity, my space, or my bubble. All right, and they made the decision that they're going to trust that people will respect that, and they're going to come to church. So I just want us to really be respectful of one another's personal space right now. And what you're going to find is when you get here, our church elders are going to help find you seats. All right, they will help find you seats, and we ask that you don't sit in the blocked off rows, and we ask that you between families leave at least 2 chairs, so you're giving each other their space there as well. And then I hate to say this, but once the service is done, we're not going to have our normal fellowship afterwards. You're welcome to go outside the building and visit. Again, let's practice, I hate this phrase, but let's practice social distancing. Let's respect one another. All right, again, we're not going to have anybody policing it, coming over with a 6-foot ruler or telling you to back off. We just ask that you would respect one another's space. Listen, we've been doing it for 3 months. We can do it a little bit longer. We can display that love to one another. We don't have to be right in each other's space. So let's work hard at that. I'm trying to think of what else we have here. If you happen to test positive for COVID-19, we pray that just certainly doesn't happen. But if you happen to test positive, we ask that you would let us know as soon as possible. We've made a decision as leaders. We're not going to share your name, but we do think it's important. We do think, as far as it depends on us living at peace with everyone, living in harmony with everyone, we let people know that somebody at our church has not been well, that somebody has tested positive. We think that it's very important that we do that. But again, we're not going to share your names, and we don't want anybody embarrassed. We just want to be real with people. We want to be honest, and we want to be true with people. So if you happen to come into contact with somebody, or you happen to test positive, we ask that you would share that. Please share that with us, and we will be respectful of your privacy. So these are just some temporary changes. All right, these are just some temporary changes as to how we're going to worship going forward. I know that people have a lot of questions, and we probably have forgotten something as elders. We probably have glossed over something that you deem important. We probably have missed something. Can I ask you to please understand that we have truly done the best that we can. We have hours of discussions together trying to come up with the best possible plan for Outreach Christian Church. If you see a hole in our plan, feel free to approach us. But I ask that you would approach us in grace, and that you would approach us in love, and understand that we've done the very best that we can. So we look forward to getting back together. Our first Sunday will be this Sunday, June 14th at 10:30, right here. If you have any questions, feel free to call the church. Feel free to call any of the elders or email us, and we'll do the very best that we can to answer. Again, I truly, truly ask that you would be gracious and patient with us as we work to put this together. We're doing the best that we can, and we just want you to know that we care about you, that we love you very deeply, and that, yes, your safety and your security are very important to us. So that's kind of our plan. I know many of you are wondering about it, and there probably, I say, are things that we have overlooked, and we've not done any of that intentionally. We don't, listen, it's been 3 months since we've been together, and the enemy will do everything in his power to divide us. And you know what? I want you to know, I believe that he will not be successful. I believe that the power of Jesus Christ will rule the day. And I believe that the local church is the hope of the world. I believe that for 25 years of ministry, that the local church is the hope of the world. And our world right now needs hope. And the best way that we can display hope is by all of us showing love for one another. So when it's time for you to be here, we will be very grateful to see you. But if it's not yet time for you to be here, please know we love you. We don't think any less of you. You're not displaying less faith or more fear. You're just doing what you believe is best for you and your family, and we trust that you have talked to God about that. So we want you to know we greatly honor that and we greatly respect that. And when it's time for you to be here with us, we will welcome you with open arms. So thank you very much for taking time to listen to this and watch this. And we just ask that you would share it with anyone that this would be important to. Thank you so much. We love you. We will see you soon. Have a wonderful week.